Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Thank you to Shanath Prabhu, Pawan Prabhu, and Ritesh Prabhu for leading the chanting this morning. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Let's start with our Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. I think Meenakshi Moini would like to sing this morning, so we'll start with our prayers, Jivi Jago, followed by Prabhupada reading. Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Jiva jago, Gora chand bole, Gothanindra jayo maya, Pishachari kole, Bhajibo boliya eshe, Samsara bhitare, Boliya rahile tumi, अविद्यार बारे तुम्हारे लोईते आमी होइनो अवतारा आमी बिना बंधु आरा के आछे तुम्हारा ए नीचे आसुधी माया नाशी परे लागी हरिनाम महामंत्र देव तुम्हें मांगी भक्ति विनोदा प्रभु चरणे परिया से हरिनाम मंत्र लोइलो मांगिया जीव जागो Gora chand bole, Kothanindra jayo maya, Pishachira kole, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to read the translations?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Yes, Pawan Prabhuji, please go ahead.
The Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of which is called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friends in this world. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, I felt at the lotus Lord's feet, having taken this Maha Mantra. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Pawan Prabhuji. Anything you would like to share, your reflections on this prayer?
This is the Maha Mantra of this Kali Yuga. That's it, nothing else.
Hare Krishna. Yes. you get to the essence always. That's it. No other frills. The core of our our movement is the Harinam. Yes, and the Prabhupada says, yeah, we perfect our lives and then we help preach and we share this nectar with others. That's it. Nothing.
Kaliyug Keval Nam Adhara. In this Ramayana also,
हम्म गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी कहते हैं, कलयुग केवल नाम आधारा, सुमिर सुमिर नर उतर ही पारा.
Haripada.
Hmm. Hare Krishna. Yes, so in this, Mahaprabhu also says, Kali Kale, Nam Rupa Krishna Avatar. And yeah, in this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, no other way to go back home, back to Godhead, to attain self-realization than to chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy names. Hmm. Hare Krishna. Yeah, otherwise our minds, just like the holy name is only one, but the mind has many tricks. So either you surrender to the holy name, we take shelter of the holy name, which is just one thing which encompasses everything actually. Everything is encompassed. The whole devotion is like nectar of devotion, we say, right? The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's an ocean. It includes everything. Versus if you surrender to the mind, then it will take us in this unrepeated, unlimited, continuously repeating cycle of never ending cycle of birth and death. So we have to choose our friend. Whom do we choose? And actually, when we choose the Maha Mantra, then it actually purifies even this trickster of mind that we all have within us. And actually, funny, yesterday only in our Sanskrit class, we were talking about this thing. So let's see if I can bring this up. Uh, so there is a specific verse that we were looking at, but um, it was talking about the mind and how the mind, you know, just one thought itself in the mind is like an ocean in itself. So not sure if you're able to see this. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can bring this. So yeah, not just um, we talk about one mind with unlimited thoughts, but let me know if you're able to see. You're able to see, hopefully. Yeah. So just one. This is like a bank. This is like a river. Material desire. One material desire inside the mind is like a river, and then there are all these whirlpools of illusions. And then, we are thinking whether to do this, not do this. Those are like the birds, indecisiveness, right? And then, even though we have a spiritual focus, when we have these unlimited material desires and we are not steady in our spiritual practices, then even the desires of the mind, these whirlpools, they can actually affect even the roots of our devotional service. So it's very, very hard to cross over from this across this river of material desires of our mind from one bank to another bank, because we will always be lost in anxiety. And of course, then there are also sharks and crocodiles in there, which are like our attachments. So we are attached to our material desires. So it's very hard. It's actually impossible. It's extremely deep river and extremely high waves. It's very hard for anybody who is in the grasp of the mind to cross this river. But only one who is pure minded and who joyfully performs bhakti, they can cross this. So those are the great sages. So anyway, yeah, either we take shelter of the holy name, or we will be lost in this repetition of birth and death. through Maya. Okay, Haribol. So let's continue with Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Chapter 62 is what we started. Prabhupada's preaching in Germany. And yesterday we saw Prabhupada was talking to this professor. And again, there also actually, if you see, he's preaching with enthusiasm. The Utsaha Nishchay Dhairyat, right? With enthusiasm, Utsaha. And Nishchay, the Nishchay is the very important part, which is the Dhairya. Nishchay is firm determination. And Dhairya is with steadiness, with patience, things will come. So like we give example of like Yashoda Maya. She had firm determination that in the Damodar Leela, initially she had to do her endeavor, right? She had to endeavor very hard, and only when she endeavored very hard and she was perspiring, okay, body say pasina beh raha tha, right? After that, Krishna gave gave his mercy or showered his mercy, right? And then he willingly decided to be bound by his mother's love. So then Krishna's mercy came, and then finally Mother Yashoda was able to bind Krishna. So same thing in our spiritual practice also. We have to endeavor. The initial endurance will be very, very hard, but we should not give up. We should have that firm faith, and we should have dhairya, patience, and steadiness. The initial challenges will be very, very. That's the challenge. Those are the tests that Krishna is giving us. We have to come out with flying colors. So we have to endeavor, just like Mother Yashoda did. And then when Krishna's mercy comes, then we will start feeling the sweetness. And then finally, with that sweetness, we'll actually be able to bind the Lord. So again, these are instructions of our acharyas. We have to have firm faith in these instructions. And when we endeavor sincerely, then yes, everything's possible. And that's the same message Prabhupada was giving to his disciple yesterday, Shivananda, who wanted to come back from Germany, or Achyutananda, who was struggling in India, saying you have to, with steadiness, just continue, don't give up, right? Even though there is no success in preaching, he said, just if a sincere devotee stays in one place, then success will come. So that again, these are words of Srila Prabhupada to his disciples. So we have to have firm faith in those instructions, that even though we think initially, we are struggling, success is not coming, we are not able getting any taste in chanting, in our bhakti processes, we are not able to uh, overcome our material problems, so on and so forth. We have to just stick. We have to stick to the practices, because those are again the tests that Krishna is giving us. We have to show to Krishna that we are going to pass from those tests. Then success will come. So that is the message Prabhupada was teaching to his disciples yesterday. And we saw he himself is showing by example, by preaching to this professor who is very adamant, but Prabhupada is not giving up. Ultimately, Prabhupada conveyed his message, and then, but he was saying like he didn't even say Hare Krishna in one of the meetings, the professor. Okay, let's see what happens next. September 3, 1969. Within a week of Prabhupada's arrival in Germany, the Janmashtami holiday occurred. Prabhupada observed Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday, quietly, not like the previous year in Montreal, when hundreds of Indians had gathered along with disciples from many temples. Here, there were only about half a dozen devotees on hand. They fasted and then came to Prabhupada's apartment in the evening. Prabhupada talked about Krishna and they chanted together. Then at 11:30 p.m., Prabhupada decided to have his head shaved, something he usually did once a month. Krishnadas carefully shaved his spiritual master's head, while the others sat and watched. Although it was not the customary activity of Janmashtami night, the devotees loved associating with Prabhupada in this intimate way. Then at midnight, Prabhupada went with them to the temple where they broke their fast. The next day was Vyas Puja Day, the celebration of Prabhupada's 74th birthday. That morning, a package arrived from New York containing several copies of the Vyas Puja booklet, a 25-page paperback filled with homages from Prabhupada's disciples. Months before, one of the devotees had discovered an old issue of a magazine published by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. The magazine contained a Vyas Puja homage Prabhupada had written commemorating the appearance day of his own spiritual master. When the article had been brought to Prabhupada's attention, he said that his disciples could also write their own appreciations, just as he had done 40 years ago. So the devotees in New York had gathered offerings from 17 different temples and had printed them all in a Vyas Puja booklet. Prabhupada was very pleased to receive the little booklet, and he had one of the devotees read it aloud in the temple. When all the readings were finished, he explained how service and prayers were accepted by Krishna through the medium of the disciplic succession. Although outsiders might think that this man is becoming flattered in hearing his own eulogy, the real meaning of Vyas Puja homage is that it is a test of how well the disciples were understanding Krishna consciousness and serving the spiritual master. Their praises were all going to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the disciplic succession, and such praises were required training for the disciple, just as officers train soldiers in the military. But in this case, the training was in the feelings of pure consciousness. Sitting on the Vyasasana, Prabhupada looked out at his little band of disciples sitting before him on the linoleum floor of the well-lit storefront. I thank you for improving Krishna consciousness, he said. I'm a sannyasi, so I have come here empty-handed. You are providing for me. What can I do? I can simply pray to Krishna for you. But don't be satisfied that you have understood. This knowledge should be distributed. In my old age, I have come to your country, carrying the order of my spiritual master to distribute. You are all young boys and girls. So take this and distribute it to the whole community, to the whole humanity. They will be happy. That morning, Prabhupada initiated 5 devotees, 3 regular brahmacharis, Vasudev, Ramantu, and Suchandra, who had all been chanting and serving for almost a year. And to the surprise of the other devotees, a married couple who had only recently been visiting the temple. When one of the devotees questioned the couple's eligibility, Prabhupada said that as long as they were chanting and following the 4 rules, they were eligible. Prabhupada named the couple Vishwanath and Kunti. He told the new initiates that if they would keep always in contact with the chanting of Hare Krishna, they would be always purified. He compared the purification required before one could enter the spiritual world to the adjustment required by astronauts before they could enter the moon. But as far as we are concerned, we don't think that they were actually successful. Prabhupada also told the initiates that on behalf of Krishna, he was working to distribute knowledge and that those who were actually fortunate would take it. Our job is to teach people and give practical suggestion. Prabhupada explained, those who are fortunate will take, otherwise we shall go on canvassing. Each person was independent and could take or not take. Although God would never interfere with their independence, they should understand that the proper use of their independence was to become unalloyed servants of God. Prabhupada was giving his new disciples what he knew to be the sublime gift for human life. But they were all individual spirit souls, free agents, and they had to decide out of their own free will to surrender to Krishna or not. In the case of Vishwanath and Kunti, Prabhupada was obviously taking a risk, but he wanted to give them the chance. Every morning, Prabhupada would take a stroll to one of the nearby parks, sometimes with a few disciples and sometimes with only Shivananda. Sometimes, while he walked along the storefront, Prabhupada would ask about shipbuilding and related industries, and Krishnadas would answer. When Prabhupada asked Krishnadas what the population of Hamburg was, he knew. Prabhupada began to jokingly call Krishnadas Stats because he knew so many statistics. One morning, while Stats was answering Prabhupada's questions about various cranes used in shipbuilding, Prabhupada turned to the others and said, You see, although I am the Guru and I am taking you back to Godhead, that doesn't mean that I cannot learn from him. Another morning, Prabhupada and Shivananda were walking alone in the park. Because of Shivananda's tight schedule and lack of sufficient sleep, he was feeling tired. Prabhupada noticed Shivananda's fatigue and suggested they sit down on a park bench. Prabhupada sat down carefully while Shivananda sprawled. Exchanging looks with Shivananda, Prabhupada sat forward even straighter, removing his back from the backrest. Seeing the great contrast in their sitting postures, Shivananda sat up straight. Back in the temple, Shivananda told the devotees about the incident. The next day, when Prabhupada went on his walk, about 5 devotees accompanied him to the park. Again, Prabhupada said, "All right, let's sit down here." The two park benches faced each other, and as Prabhupada sat down carefully with his back straight, all the devotees sat very straight opposite him on the bench, looking over at Prabhupada. Seeing his disciple sitting seriously in a rigid line in an obvious imitation of himself, Prabhupada began to laugh. One morning, Prabhupada and a few devotees walked past a church situated on its own plot of land, surrounded by several other buildings belonging to the church. Admiring the community like arrangement, Prabhupada said to Shivananda, "So, you will get this church for us?" "I will see, Prabhupada." In India, Prabhupada said, there are situations very similar to this. There is a temple, and around the temple, all the devotees are living. It's a nice situation. Another morning, Prabhupada remarked about the extraordinary amount of garbage in front of the houses. Shivananda explained that this was a monthly function in German cities, a throw-out day, when everybody puts out junk and things from their attic that the garbage collectors ordinarily do not take. On throw-out day, the garbage collectors come with a special truck and remove all oversized garbage. Prabhupada noticed all sorts of usable items, and as he walked, he would point with his cane. "Why don't you take that for the temple?" "Well, Prabhupada, we already have one of those." After a while, Prabhupada would investigate another person's garbage and point with his cane. "Yes, get that, get that." Repeatedly, Shivananda explained that the temple already had the articles, but Prabhupada continued to point things out. Finally, Prabhupada found an oriental rug sitting on the curb. "Yes, now this you can use." And Prabhupada had them carry the rug back to the temple. The rug turned out to be in such good shape that after cleaning it, they placed it in the temple room. The weather continued cold and overcast with only about 2 days of sunshine during Prabhupada's 3 week stay. After a walk, one cold, drizzly morning, while Prabhupada was waiting with Shivananda for the elevator, Shivananda was rubbing his hands together. "You are cold," Prabhupada said, and he touched Shivananda's hands. "Feel my hand. It was warm. If you keep this area of the body warm," Prabhupada put his hands on his chest, "then the rest of the body will be warm." Shivananda could not help but feel overwhelming affection for Prabhupada, even in such small reciprocations. Every morning walk would reveal many such treasurable little incidents. Shivananda was not an experienced cook, so Prabhupada taught him. The apartment kitchen was small, about 6 feet square, with an electric stove, a sink, and a little counter space. When Prabhupada said that Shivananda made good eggplant pakoras, Shivananda made eggplant pakoras daily. Then one morning Prabhupada asked, "You are not cooking that eggplant again, are you?" Prabhupada then taught Shivananda some other things to cook, including a special way to cook cabbage, a way to cook chapatis by cooking them on one side in the oven, taking them out, and then cooking them on the other side on the electric burner. Prabhupada asked for mangoes, but it was difficult to find them in Hamburg. Those that Shivananda could find were still green. Prabhupada instructed Shivananda to put the peeled mangoes in a sugar solution for a week. When the mangoes turned black, they became a kind of mango chutney. Shivananda knew Prabhupada's concern for not wasting anything, so he asked him what to do with the mango peels. Prabhupada seemed surprised, but he said, "If you want to do something with the peels, then put them in mustard oil with salt and turmeric." The devotees tried this, but they found the taste awful, except for Mandali Bhadra, who liked them. For breakfast, Shivananda would usually take whatever was left on Prabhupada's plate. But one morning there was very little left, so Shivananda began cooking cereal for himself. He had just begun eating the cereal in the other room when Prabhupada entered. Prabhupada took one look at Shivananda's cereal and told him to come into the kitchen. There Prabhupada showed Shivananda how to make halwa, cooking farina and butter and mixing it with boiling sugar water. "When you want something to eat," Prabhupada said, "then you can make this halwa." Prabhupada still had his small Radhakrishna deities in Hamburg, and they sat on the little altar shelf within his closet. Whatever Shivananda would cook, Prabhupada would have him make up a plate and then bring it and offer it with prayers to Radha and Krishna. One day, while Shivananda was cooking, Prabhupada came to the kitchen door and motioned for Shivananda to come out. He then led Shivananda to the open closet before the deities of Radha and Krishna. Gesturing to the deities, Prabhupada said, "It's not for me that you're cooking, but it's for them." Prabhupada had come to Hamburg knowing the center was undeveloped, but he wanted to encourage the devotees there and give Shivananda the opportunity to serve him personally. On Prabhupada's behalf, Shivananda had so submissively come here and started the center. Now Prabhupada had come to encourage him by engaging him as his walking companion, cook and masseur. One day, Shivananda was massaging Prabhupada's head when Prabhupada began to explain that as a person gets older, the body does not digest food as well. The stomach begins producing bad airs, but by massage, these airs become redistributed. Shivananda became concerned and thoroughly absorbed himself in giving Prabhupada his massage. Every day at 11, Shivananda would come in and give Prabhupada his massage. One morning, he entered the room and found Prabhupada sitting in a chair by the window, his head covered with a blanket, chanting Hare Krishna on his beads. You should pray to Krishna for me, Prabhupada said to Shivananda. Shivananda was surprised. How could he pray for his spiritual master? He began to stammer. Well, Prabhupada, I don't think it would work. Why not? You are a devotee of Krishna. Another time, Prabhupada asked Shivananda to massage around his heart. He asked him to push hard. Shivananda thought he was rubbing Prabhupada too hard, but Prabhupada said, just push harder. Shivananda asked Prabhupada if his health was all right, but Prabhupada seemed annoyed that he had asked. Again, Shivananda expressed remorse. It must not be very good for you here in Hamburg, he said. You were staying in Los Angeles, and there were so many devotees there, and the situation was so nice. Now you come here, and there's practically nobody. That's all right, Prabhupada said softly. We are doing our preaching work, whether there are a lot of devotees or not. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's see. We can read a couple of minutes. Chapter 63, Latin America. In the spring of 1972, after conducting groundbreaking ceremonies at his three new projects in Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Bombay, Srila Prabhupada left India for a world preaching tour. The contested Bombay land purchase had turned into a drawn-out struggle that drew Srila Prabhupada's thoughts anxiously to Bombay wherever he travelled. Yet he preached with full presence of mind from Australia to Hong Kong to Tokyo to Hawaii to Los Angeles. While in Los Angeles, Prabhupada decided to visit Mexico, where his disciples had maintained an ISKCON center for a year. Mexico City, June 2, 1972. Accompanied by his secretary Shyam Sundar and his servant Nandakumar, Srila Prabhupada flew into Mexico City in the afternoon. When they disembarked, no devotees were in sight. While the secretary and servant speculated on the circumstances, Srila Prabhupada appearing tired, sat down on his suitcase and chanted, waiting. After almost an hour, a Mexican couple approached. As the woman bowed down before Prabhupada, the man introduced himself. He was Mr. Areza, a lawyer, and the lady, Mrs. Adela Diaz. They knew the Hare Krishna devotees and recognized their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Having just come from the temple, the couple told Prabhupada the devotees' preparation for his arrival. Srila Prabhupada smiled and said he was waiting for his disciples to come and get him. Mrs. Diaz offered to take Srila Prabhupada and his party to the temple in her car, and he agreed. Somehow they all squeezed into her small red car and headed for the city. It is a shame they have missed you, Mrs. Diaz said. Chitsukhananda, the temple president, has decorated a large car with flowers to receive you at the airport. Srila Prabhupada commented dryly, what good is a big car if it is not here? They arrived at the ISKCON center just as Chitsukhananda and a party of devotees were arriving at the airport. Srila Prabhupada entered the temple through the kitchen door. A single devotee was cooking. Startled to see Prabhupada, the devotee offered frantic obeisances before him, and Prabhupada said, where are the devotees? Mr. Areza and Mrs. Diaz escorted him into the main room, a large open area where devotees and dozens of guests were waiting. When the people saw Prabhupada, they began to kneel before him with folded hands in the style of Catholic worshippers. He walked forward, pausing to gently touch their heads. A rain of flower petals caused Prabhupada to look up. From the balcony railing of the second floor mezzanine, devotees showered flowers upon Prabhupada and his party. Ornate flower arrangements decorated the walls. One arrangement found figures of Radha and Krishna, and another the words of the Maha Mantra. They were very artistic. Prabhupada appreciated, just like in India. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's pause here. Yes, when he first came to US, you remember, the Mexican food is always felt like it's very similar, most similar to Indian food in terms of rice and beans. So yeah, Prabhupada is appreciating. It's just like in India, in Mexico. Yeah, but yeah, today's reading again, the teachings of not wasting, like Prabhupada used to say many times to his Western disciples, that you all Western disciples are always in the uh, mood of, they tend to waste a lot of things, right? Here, there's a materialistic society, you use things and then you throw things, right? So, but that's still better than using and throwing people. But yeah, anyway, Prabhupada used to be always chastise his Western disciples of having been conditioned in that environment where there is, uh, the tendency to waste things. Right here we see in America how much wasteful they are, whether it be electricity, water, any natural resources. People like if they're brushing their teeth, they'll just keep the tap on. If they're not inside the room, they'll still keep the lights or the fan or the AC. Of course, it's all centralized AC, but there's so much of waste here. So, and same thing I think he's seeing in Germany during those morning walks. People are dumping out their large items every month. It's a it's a it's a good concept. I'm thinking though, because here in America we always have to pay for. It's funny when you get things at home, you have to pay to buy new thing and then for the transportation and set up everything. And when you have to remove your large items from your home, again you have to pay them to remove junk from your home. So it is funny, and still people waste so much of things here. And yeah, so in Germany also, it's funny. Prabhupada is walking through the streets, and from his eyes, of a young boy or man growing up in India, and in very austere conditions, and how people in general value things, right? We value not just things, we value people, we value relationships. That is the way the culture is very different and contrasting from the Western, what was it called yesterday that professor was saying? Cosmopolitan consciousness. So like that. Uh, so it's a contrast between two worlds and two cultures. But yeah, how Prabhupada's eye of detail, he could see, what things could be used for the temple, and even that rug, he told them finally to take it to the temple, and after cleaning, they put it inside the temple room. So yeah, like that, Prabhupada is teaching again by example that if we are sincere, yeah, we can use anything and everything in Krishna's service, right? Yukta Vairagya. So like we say again and again that we don't have to give up anything that we have. Whatever we have, we can dovetail it into Krishna's service. Like one of the classes by Guru Maharaj, he was saying that when these materialistic people, they are developing the science and technology. Again, we are not against science and technology. We are not against advancement of modern science, etc. As long as we don't forget, where all this creative abilities, talents, where the raw material to create this scientific advancement, is all coming from. So if we know that the root cause or the root of everything is the Lord, and we be grateful to His presence, to His giving us these creative abilities and talents and materials, so that we can progress, then it is perfection of life. So yeah, like Maharaj was saying was that like these so-called materialistic scientists and inventors, they're creating all these things, like the video technology, for example. Right now we have mobile phones, we have video recorders, cameras, and all of that. And nobody thought, like Sony would never have thought that the movies and all will make. But now devotees are making movies. Devotees are making so many wonderful short films and clips and all of these. And so everything can be utilized in Krishna's service, right? And we are seeing, like, when Prabhupada movie was made, even the auditorium when Prabhupada once was in America, I think even in the Europe, they used a big auditorium for Prabhupada's, many such auditoriums for Prabhupada's classes. Even now we see Prabhupada's disciples when they travel, like when we go to Sadhu Sangha, we rent out big, Hayats, banquet halls and all of these things, and we are using it for Kirtan, for Sadhu Sangha. And who would have thought that this hall would be used for that? Like when we went to Florida, the last one, Sadhu Sangha, it was huge. It was just huge facility, right? So everything, devotees are always looking to see how we can engage everything in Krishna's service. So that should be the mood. If that is the mood, then everything becomes perfect. So wherever we are, sthane sthita, Shrutigatam, Tanuvak Manobhir, like Brahmaji prays in his prayers. We have to sthane sthita. Wherever we are in our lives, we have to stay there. Doesn't mean that we have to leave our jobs, leave our ashram. Sthane sthita, Shrutigatam, by hearing the words of nectar coming from the mouths of the pure devotees of the Lord, we engage our tanu, vak, and manobhir, our body, mind, and words. When we do all of those three things with our body, we can serve, we can engage our body in the service, with again utilizing whatever skills and talents that God has given us. With our words, we can speak pleasingly to devotees, we can chant the Maha Mantra, we can sing these wonderful bhajans, we can sing kirtan, right? And always use pleasing words in our interactions. And with our mind, of course, we can offer our prayers and we can cleanse our mind by chanting the Maha Mantra and remembering the remembrance of the Lord, like Prahlad Maharaj. So, like that, everything is perfect. Okay, thank you so much for your kind association. Anybody else would like to share any reflections, thoughts from today's reading? Anything that you liked from the reading, from Prabhupada's personal teachings? No comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Yes,
you for reading, and whenever you read, it brings it as if like Prabhupadaji's life is in front of us, and the dedication and the way the Prabhupadaji was so consistently enriching the life of so many people. Although at that time it was such a big struggle, and still those little things that he kept going on without any uh, without falling from like or without feeling depressed or things are not working. He was very determined, and that can be reflected in our lives or the persons that we touch. So thank you, Prabhuji. I mean, it's an inspiration to read about it, that how I mean Prabhupada himself was such a like a big devotional person, big devotee, and we can always inspire from each and every day that we can uh, keep going on no matter what happens or whatever. And I mean in daily's life or uh, in daily routine too. So thank you for reading and keep inspiring us. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you for your nice reflection. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, this we should not even say book. These are all granth, our scriptures, right? We in English there's no other word like that. We mostly it's used book, but like we say granth, there's a granth Bhagavad, Sant Bhagavad, and then there's Panth. So we learn from all three, right? We said so. This is so nice. Prabhupada Leela Amrit is like all three, combined together, the most sweetest. So it is like a granth because it is teachings of pure devotees, lives of pure devotee, how to lead your life. He's a sant, he's a Mahabhagavat, pure devotee of the Lord. So we can learn from the Granth, we can learn from the Sant, and we can learn from the Panth because he's also going on these walks. And for us also, whatever comes in our life, like, today or yesterday, what happened in our life, day before what happened in life, Krishna sends those situations in our life, sends those people that we meet with, everything is orchestrated. If we trust Krishna, Krishna sends, situations in our life, people in our lives for our uh, spiritual progress. So yeah, those three things all are there in this as we read Prabhupada Lilamrit. We learn from Srila Prabhupada, we learn from his instructions about the scriptures, about the predecessor acharyas, how to lead your life. And by personally, as example, his achar, he's teaching, that he's going through these morning walks, these small interactions and all of these things. So yeah, it's wonderful. Granth, Sant, and Panth, everything is there. Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu. Okay, no other comments. Let's pause here for today. Thank you so much for your kind association. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavindi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.